Okay, hello. Hello. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Luca. I'm Luca. I'm your host. And today I'm going to be giving you an introduction into a series I'm going to start, and I'm thinking of calling it an unacademic review of the classics. And this video is just going to be an introduction, explaining what the series is, why I decided to do it, and sort of what place I feel like it has on the internet. And then the actual series will come later. And if you're watching the series now, watching some of the reviews, then this is the place to start to get a feel for sort of what I'm going to be presenting and that sort of stuff. So yeah, let me jump into it. I want to start off by saying I don't read. I obviously can read like most other people in England at least, but if someone asked me, do you read, I would say no. And the problem I've been facing and the actual problem that sparked my idea for this channel is that, like me, you've probably seen in movies you watch and sort of pop culture in general that certain characters and certain stories get referenced, and you kind of learn these characters via the references, like by hearing their names and hearing what they did, but you never actually read the stories, or you never really read the books that it's concerned with. It's normally you just learn it through what they say and how they're referenced, right? But in the current day and age, at least from what I've found, a much smaller percentage of people actually read, or at least claim that they do. And I find that a problem, because clearly there's so many stories and all these great things that our society are built off of to experience, right? So the reason I've had the idea for this channel is that I watched the movie 300, which some of you may have seen. If you haven't, it's basically about 300 like ancient Greek soldiers and all sorts of drama about that. There's the This Is Sparta. You've probably seen that. Anyway, after watching it, I realized, oh, okay, I'm quite interested in Greek history, and I've never really even thought about it before. I don't know anything about it. So I started researching, and I basically researched what part of Greek history to look at if you've watched the movie The 300, right? And the biggest recommendation was like, if that's the reason you're looking into it, you'll probably enjoy the Greek fiction more. Not that the Greek history is boring, but the fiction is, well, it sparked the start of modern literature as you know it today. What gets referenced and what gets recommended is a book named The Iliad. I go to start searching for reviews of the book to decide whether I want to read it, right? As you might with movies, if you decide whether you want to go and watch it, because that's what I normally do. I'm looking for reviews of movies, not books. But I thought I'll choose that route and do that. And if you don't study literature like myself, and you're just kind of the average person, then the information available is quite daunting. The Iliad itself, for example, has two different versions or way it's written. If you study literature, you know exactly what I'm about to say. I didn't, much like most other people probably don't. It is written in poem, or it's written in prose. Now, for the average person like me, that would confuse you. What does that mean? Which one should I read? For someone that studies literature, you're probably familiar and you probably know which route to go. And then once you've decided that, you have the next problem with this book in particular. Particular. That's the translation you choose. For each different version, poem and prose being, I don't know if I'll explain now. Prose is basically how modern novels are written today, just paragraphs rather than poem, which has kind of rhyme and structure. It's really not that complicated of a difference, but you just wouldn't know it if you hadn't looked before, right? So it makes it confusing. So then I'm looking for which translation to choose, because there's 5 or 6 for each different form of the story. And every single resource you go to, every single review will give you will give you different recommendations for each one, and they'll say why it's good and why it's bad. So it makes it almost impossible to choose, and you really don't know which one's best for you. For someone, well, like myself, you just want to read an interesting story, right? And it gets a bit confusing. So then, when you finally decided, okay, I know which one I'm going to read. I'm going to read it in prose. I'm going to read the XYZ translation. Then you look up, okay, is this version of the book good? And you start reading the reviews, and you know, if you're like me, I look up opinions on YouTube. That's my favorite source, because that seems the most unfiltered. You know, most people aren't being paid by the producers or nothing like that. You normally get quite an honest review. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, no, I'm not. So but then when you look at these, or if you're looking at blog posts or whatever you're looking at, it's filled with super analytical and kind of academic viewpoints, which, although they have their space, and I completely respect the creators, you know, you have to be very intelligent to write these things and pick up on some of the things that they do. But for a regular person like myself, I just want concise information, you know, like the sort of 5-10 minute movie reviews you get. Should I read this? Would I enjoy it? You know, is it super complex? Am I going to have to spend ages working out themes and characters to actually be able to understand it? All of that sort of information. And I just want to know, yeah, is it enjoyable? Will it take me, you know, 3 years to work this sort of stuff out? But, you know, because these books are so old and, you know, they're classics, most people who read them are studying them because, you know, they're not as approachable. But that doesn't mean that they're not good and they don't have value. So when you look for these reviews, you can't find them, you can't find the information on them, and there's nothing really there that will give you what you need, at least not for me when I looked. So that brings me to what I'm planning on doing. You can probably guess by now, I saw a gap, really, something that wasn't there and that would help me, and I want to help other people. So that's what I'm planning to do, make reviews on the classics. So then the next problem proposed itself. Where do I start? So I wanted to start going through the classic works, right? That's what I wanted. I wanted to read the kind of the foundations of our society, what built up, you know, kind of entertainment of how it is today. And I want to give what I coin an unacademic review of each and post it to this channel here. And maybe we could build a community of kind of like-minded people who want to do the same sort of thing. As I think there's so much to experience from these classics. I mean, they are obviously of quality, and there can be so much good brought on from reading these books. I mean, without them, you know, your favorite movies, your favorite entertainers, they just wouldn't exist. They wouldn't have the kind of theory that's built up their careers, or the theory and the sort of plot points and the kind of ways of storytelling wouldn't kind of exist, or at least they wouldn't be here yet without these classic pieces of literature. Like literally this is what everything is built on, right? So what I don't like is the entry level into being able to enjoy them is so high. It just seems that you have to understand all these complex things and these, you know, tough to grasp theories, and that's well and good, and you should move towards that. But, you know, for someone who just wants to start, you just want the clear information. Sorry if I sound like a broken record. So, I mean, even in society today, it exists, the notions of it exist. It almost seems pretentious if you say, oh, yeah, I like to read, you know? It's like, oh, who do you think you are? And at least in my experience, that's what I've kind of thought, and that's how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's different where you come from, maybe you come from Eton and, you know, everybody, that's all they do, sit around drinking whiskey, wine, and reading. And if they do, you know, more power to you. But basically, I just want to remove that stigma, at least here in this channel. You know, you can speak freely about what you think, and no one's going to say you're wrong or say you're dumb, anything. I just want to create that community, and I want to remove, the stigma, and hopefully allow more people to enjoy these things. Because really, some books can allow you and help you to question your inner values, but not when everyone's telling you, you know, you should think this about this and think that about this, and saying all these, you know, crazy, extremely educated sort of opinions that, you know, are themselves novels. Do you know what I'm saying? So and also there's clearly a selfish motivation. I obviously want to read them, so this will act as at least a bit of motivation. So anyway, where have I decided to start? I've decided that Penguin's cloth-bound classic collection is where I'm going to begin. It's a series of books released by the publisher. I think they're a publisher, Penguin. You've probably heard of them. I think everyone's heard of them, at least in the UK. I don't know if it's different in America. And they gave each what they decided that these were the classics. I think it's about 80 odd books. And, you know, you kind of recognize all of them at least, or most of them. And they've got all of them with quite nice cover, you know. But I'll probably just keep it as like a kind of rough guideline. Hang on, let me move this over. And if anything else jumps out, I'll give those a read as well. I'll probably let the community know at some point what I'm reading each week, depending on how many people are watching, you know, etc, etc. And what I'm going to be reading in the future, I don't know yet. We'll wait until the first couple reviews are up, and then I'll see how things are going, okay? And obviously, that's kind of the general idea. I'm going to work out a structure for the reviews. I'm thinking I might begin with a plot summary, speak about half like a non-spoiler review, and then lead into the spoilers and my general thoughts, and then review with a score out of 10 or maybe like 100 for maybe 3 different criteria. My own personal like quality of the book, how much I like it personally, then maybe the easeability of the read, if easeability is a word, I think it is. But yeah, just how easy it is to digest, right? And then also, I don't know, a third metric. 3 seems like a good number. I can only come up with 2 right now, but you know, comedy comes in 3s or whatever, so we'll stick with it. Yeah, that's the kind of current goal at the moment. If you see this and no reviews are out at the moment, I think I have a couple on my channel already, but you know, I'm open to criticism. I would love to hear what you have to say on any of the reviews as well. Tell me, you know, how you're feeling, what you thought of it, if you enjoyed them, and yeah, that's all I want to know. And please stick around. You know, I want to build something here. So yeah, thank you for sticking around and listening, and I hope you join me for this hopefully long journey. And yeah, I'll see you at your first review. Thank you.